Hey everyone, I am Tara, aka and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. I'm YouTube Spirit Teaching from itself. I'm TikTok 1974 years old, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're new to my channel, I always recommend and suggest. I really encourage you to read the description on my YouTube channel. Spirit Teaching is the one you can so you can get a better understanding of what it is that I bring forward on my channel. As some of you are aware, using life experiences to kind of channel through, and it's healing. Right now, I do a lot of controversy things. Like I'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, I'll push you up to a cliff or something. You'll even energetically hang up on me. You'll love me, hate me, like you loathe me, and that's understandable because of what comes forward, because it's questioning a lot of things, not only in my own life, but also within the text and our ancestors and it gets weird for me a lot of the time doing this because I was sitting there and I was going through the story of Adam and Eve, right, with regards to children, okay, because your stories are just all over the place, okay. Now, you had Adam and Eve, right? Okay, and you said they had Cain and Abel, and they had Seth, and there was an ant. Okay. Now, that sucked. There was, because I can't help but question, okay, because I look at my own life and I look at my own experience and what have you. And the weird thing always is that when I was channeling, was getting that the authority, okay, so it's able to, okay. So what I got was Seth, there was three girls and two boys, okay. So there was Seth, which was Sophia, Anna, which was Lilith. So I got that Sophia was the mother of Yeshua, for Anna is Lilith. Lilith was the mother of Jesus. Abel was Caleb, father of, like, you look at the biblical father of Peter. Cain and there was another girl, but they don't really talk about Cain and Abel were twins. And I said that Peter's father raped Mother Eve, which was a lot of people say in the spiritual realm of the world, it's just this, what what really happened, okay? Because I've been channeling that Abel, Caleb, actually raped and killed Jezebel and blamed it on him. That was the original bloodlust because it was the lust, it was the rape and the kill. And that's where you would get Abel from. But see, people will look at me funny and say, "Oh no, that's not the way it went at all." Really? Are you really like? Are you really sure about that? Or are you just going by biblical text? Because here, let me share my journal with you. Okay? This is my drawing. So I have it too right on there. I didn't realize I had it so that on my TikTok. Okay. So I have the word family here. Like this here is a drawing of Oak Island. Big Oak Island is drawing of Oak Island. This is lot 32. This is where my great granddaddy and my Grammy my lived. Okay, this is kind of a setup, but this is the way it's remembered. Okay, because this here is the swamp. This here is the roadway going to my other great granddaddy's property on my father's side. This was my mother's side. Okay. The family here, these are four children. Right here, there's two girls and two boys. And if you look up here, there's another girl, but she's depicted as an angel. See, for Cain and Abel, Caleb, were twin brothers. It would be easy for one to be blamed because see, Cain being sent, was that the mother's way of trying to portray the truth, because she did put a mark on him, right? But she'll say the father did that, right? Saying that Cain would have killed his sister. You know, people won't believe something like that because you're too busy looking in your biblical text that's been manipulated because it's narrative. Right? Because people look, Mother Mary was raped by a Peter's father was a soldier. When okay, if you followed my other videos, and I have those spirits in here right now, and it's like you have disdain for me, and you're trying right here in the heart. Do you know the mother came to find out the fucking truth? You say that Cain was of the land, Abel was the shepherd. How many of you have heard the story of the boy who cried wolf? What was the boy who cried wolf? It was a shepherd, right? Seeing if everyone would come running before wolf, wolf. Cain was actually Jesus. See, and I got looking through the Bible, and then I got looking through my own genealogy, and like, there's what is it, reference to 4 different Johns in the Bible. Joseph is actually Joseph's name. Would be Joseph, right? So think of it this way: you say John the Baptist, and John was the cousin of Mother Mary, right? You say Jesus, but it was a cousin to Jesus. Would he not be a cousin to Mother Mary? But you'll say, no, it was Mother Mary's sister's son. Was it? What happened to John? People say John was at the Last Supper. John wasn't at the Last Supper at all because John was dead. The first they tried killing him. They tried killing him. They tried swallowing him. No, they decapitated him. When, okay, they scalped my 7th grade granddad, but he lived. They drove him up to Georgia's Island, and they tortured him there. They skinned him alive. Oh, they did so much to him because he prophesied the coming of Christ, right? He had a son named John. He was also Jacob, and then he had 12 children. Actually, 13 children, maybe even more than that, but 12 children known about, and it was at least there was 12. actually brought her up, like, for the family, say, like, she was a foster child. So when you look, okay, we'll take you to the legend of Gutenberg with regards to the little child said, three brothers. I said it was two. There was actually three that died, and one of them, the same way with John, he lived. But they brag about at Oak Island. They brag about killing the person again, doing it again to kill the person. But it said, God, if they live through the death, that it's right by God, but they did it again. And people wonder why you say there's a curse. Okay, those were my seventh grade nephews. So maybe John was the nephew. So when you look in the Bible, you have John 1. See, which is interesting because when I was in the psychiatric unit, there was a guy that, oh my gosh, like I swear he would remind me of John the Baptist. And I happened to live in a house that was owned by a guy named John who was a Baptist. And I was told he was very, very eccentric. And he gave me this Bible. He even wrote it. So we're going to go back here. So we'll look in the index. And curiously enough, there's two years. Okay. And then we'll get to three ancestors. Okay, so we have John right after Luke. Okay, because I said all this transpires through different timelines because it's a family. It's written down through timelines, okay? And they have it that it's all the same group of people. No, because my sixth great granddaddy had a religious seal, and his children, they were doing it too. So you have John 1, John 2, and John 3. So there's four Johns. Okay. Oh wow, they're attacking now. They're going right after my heart. Look at Tony. Look at Tony. I can feel it right there. Come on. Let the police die. No, no. Police die. And it was 11:11 for 111. Let me see. On TikTok, I'm gonna come back in. Okay, I gotta fix the lighting on here because I don't know how to. I'm gonna pause it. Oh, I got it. So, oh, here we go. Folks. There we go. Oh, that's better. I guess I am pretty good at that. Okay, so you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go into so see, we're going down this religious rabbit hole because what you're witnessing is like it was a murder, right? And they're trying to figure out what really happened. And this is why you have you perceive war taking place because it's the mother against the father, right? Okay. So now I'm into my seventh grade granddad. I'm going to go into my granddad, my sixth grade granddaddies. Okay, let's see. Okay, my sixth grade granddaddy had a Joseph, who's a Joseph, and then my my fifth grade, that was great uncle. Because then I have my fifth grade granddad, and then there's John, and then there's a Gideon, Hannah Mary, John, John, George, John. So there's one John, John, one, two, three, four, and then there's a Peter, a Benjamin, and a James. And then when I go into my great Grammy, okay, and I'm trying to figure out because they say the girl's name that the 15-year-old that the Bouvier brothers supposedly killed. They didn't kill her because when you go in here, it has right here, Culper Heckman, an accidental witness who happened to be in court, was sworn to give an account of dancing, but it's spelled Bazinkin. The way it was originally spelled when he first came here. He said he lived in Lunenburg, okay? That Hanson had stepped at his home the night the deceased house was burnt. The 15-year-old girl, my granddaddy, sixth grade granddaddy, was going to find her because the Bouvier brothers came back and told him that she was being raped at the house. Ah! And he told them to go. They weren't even there. They were in Chatham. They were on their way to Chatham. It wasn't them. My great granddaddy went to get her. She got away and she ran and he grabbed her and he fucking hit her. They're talking about my great grand. That's Oak Island because if you watch the fucking song, or like if you listen to the song Reba McEntire, "The Night the Lights Went On in Georgia," like, and you the whole thing, and you go through the words, they were at Webb's bar, okay? There was on Oak Island, there was a Webber. Went to Anderson, Andy, like Anderson. There was an Anderson on Oak Island. It happened on Oak Island or right around there. Siento purificando tu yeah. Ano to purihay? Purisito puri ka magdadahil sa tuloy. Then you seen them kill him. They beat him to death. They were supposed to be his friends. You know, Oak Island, they talk about freaking how Samuel Paul and Anthony Vaughn were fucking teenagers. They weren't teenagers at all. My sixth great granddaddy, he would have been 41. Donald McGinnis would have been 37. Anthony Vaughn, the father, would have been 44, and the son would have been 13. And the father was executive and freaking witness to his will. And every time I drive past that road that goes to the conference center of Oak Island, my grandson is still. Samuel Ball was 30 years old in 1990, in 1794. Then you had John Smith, okay? John Smith, the son, would have been 20 years old, and his father would have been 47. His father, John Smith Sr., Anthony Vaughn, Donald McGinnis, and Samuel Ball, which quite interesting. I found the real name of Samuel Ball. And holy shit, man, they changed the fucking name. And you know, man, oh man, every fucking time they took him, they took the name Ball, pretty much. I'm doing it. There was Jorge Elisa Jorge, which was the same name as his father, and it goes back to Catherine, which was said to be Samuel Ball's mother. But then there was a Peter, which I said, if you look in and you make reference to, okay, you look at Samuel Ball, you look at the picture of Samuel Ball. Samuel Ball looks identical to P. Diddy. Seriously. Samuel Ball looks like an older version of P. Diddy. Donald Trump, okay, Donald McGinnis, I believe my granddaddy trusted him. Okay, much like if you look at, okay, you're saying about JFK Sr. and JFK Jr. and Donald Trump. You get it? If you look at the Boulder trial, okay, the man that was supposed to have been killed, He was the godfather to the Boulder brothers. And it just so happens that they say that it was an Indian who killed my seventh great granddaddy, which it wasn't at all. It was Edward Cornwallis himself, and the man that got caught in the fire. Because he was the one raping my sixth great granddaddy's daughter. See, if you look back at Emmett, George Emmett, let's see, this guy here, George Frederick Emily, this guy here, if you go back and you look, my seventh great granddaddy was scalped in 1756. And a year later, this guy was on the Indian patrol. They paid for my ancestors on both the Byzantines and the Boulder side. And then they wiped us out. Well, they thought they said we were conceited. We weren't the fucking conceited ones, thank you very much. We were the ones trying to enlighten people. My granddaddy, he might have had a shitty on, but you would too if you were fucking 1.5 years old and you seen your father being scalped right in front of you. Then my granny remarried. And now I know where the war is there. Because my seventh great Grammy's new husband, my sixth great granddaddy, and my sixth great granddaddy's sister molesting them. And then my sixth great granddaddy, who went to live with his grandmother. I'm not sure which wouldn't have been his grandmother on his mother's side, because my seventh great Grammy's mother and father both got thrown overboard on the way over, which left the Boulder brothers, too young to take care of themselves. So they went to live with this man. This man. So he was obviously friends with their father because that uh, sorry, her brother, and then he had children because they were the same age. They came over. He came over with my seventh great granddad. They all came over at the same time. You know, if you look on the thing, the medallion thing, or what have you, at in Lunatic, hey, strangely, I do that in the sand one day, and it looks identical to that. And I've never seen that in my life. I just printed that off. Holy crap. Well, I did that at the beginning of the summer last year, and that wasn't until fall. This is the four families involved right here. Okay, so this is for the Boulevard brother, child, and everything else. He was the dirty guy. I mean, okay, Delphine. Okay, if you look at the book, their brother's child, Delphine, the mother of the 15-year-old girl. The bootlegger was the one that was said to have murdered him, but the family. And then Byzantin, that was my great granddaddy. My great granddaddy was the father of this young girl. And my great granddaddy had a lot of talents. And like he had her there, see, that's where the first more so came in. She witnessed her father being murdered. Let's see. Give me super joy. Give me 1 sec, please. Everyone. I appreciate your patience. And I want to thank all of the ones who come in and followed me. Because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to be alive right now. We're going with flow. I'm channeling. I'm doing things as it comes. Excuse me. See, people don't realize, like, you're saying about the biblical times, okay? Say the fall of Babylon. People are looking at, is the East really the East? Is the East really the East? Okay, because you said the Antichrist is going to come from the East. Okay, well, let's see. If you look on the calendar, okay, we may be in North America, okay, but see, were they actually, like, what East were they talking about? Okay, because if North America is actually the battle, it's actually the place where all takes place because everybody's eyes on us, but they're trying to keep us have eyes on you guys. Okay? So now, when you look and you see where was Donald Trump, well, he was from the East in the United States. Same as the Pope, the new Pope, the Pope from the East in the United States. And it just so happens that Nova Scotia is in eastern Canada. Now, let's see these pictures. No, I've seen Jessica because I'm sure Jessica came to me back when I first died, when I died in 2019. Because when I came back, there was this girl, she was about 12, 11 or 12, around about there, maybe like she was younger. And she had long black hair, she was very good looking because she was deaf, and she was wearing blue. See, I'm going to show you some of the book. People will say, no, it doesn't look like P. Diddy, which is fucking right, it does. Well, the version of P. Diddy, because, they travel in time, or, everything's happening in the now. But hey, people think you're the, nope. And my grandfather's name, they called him something else, but his first name was actually David. And on his side of the family, there was David, John, Mary, David, Gershom, Nathan, Asher, Moses, Yeshua, Isaac, Moses, Solomon, and they were Levi and Hillel, and they were all Levi. And my great granddad had religious skill. Now, this is stuff I did in the sand. I was sure someone say I haven't never seen that in years, and that's the day that I did it. I can tell you the day that I did it. Oh no, that's it. Okay, I'm gonna go back further. That's not the original. Oh yeah, because those were different. Now, I described the stick before that they used was it had rope tied around it because the universe was showing me. Oh, I feel like I'm the work. There's it from another angle. And see, curiously, it was right in front of someone, like it was right under someone close to me, and I know that they're the spirit of that person. I know they feel that spirit. Okay, because well, there's an even better picture right there. See, and there's the other right there. So there was beating him with sticks. There was some that was kicking him and beating him with rocks and everything like that. You know, that's what it was. And it was the village standing there watching while it was being done because she was fighting. She come looking for, you know, then you say that looking Jesus. And see, the strange thing is, down in my backyard, there's a tree there. And I can imagine the size of what the tree would be because was it a tree that was growing on his property or on a property and they hung him on it? Because here, let me show you. Okay, so we'll just keep, then we'll get to that. There's when I started drawing the face. He was sitting there with those, sitting there with me. And there it is there, right on. And there it is there, and there. Ironically, there's anybody else like that. Telling last that, hey, I don't feel safe for him because my sixth grade granddaddy's sister, she happened to have, like, she came here where I'm at 20 minutes away. He was born, my sixth grade granddaddy was born 20 minutes roughly from where I and my great aunt went and lived. Where are you, great granddaddy? So this is how the Bible life. Yeah. It's too bad. Basically, when trembling her. Oops. See, the thing is, Anna Marie Bouvier was my seventh, well, Catherine. Yeah, I was trying really hard. Anna Marie Bouvier, Catherine Bouvier, was my great Grammy, seventh great Grammy. She went by Catherine. Okay. Coincidence? Frederick was her brother. What's short for Frederick? You say Fred? Is it Fred? Is it Rick? No, I'm questioning my ancestors' bloodline because I'm looking at my own life, and that's how I do. That's how I do it. I look at because when I was going through the bootleg of the trial, and I was reading off like three different family members, and what have you, holy shit, man. I tried saying that my seventh great grandmother was dead, but it wasn't her at all. It was her, it was her sister. You know, that's the part of the timelines. You know, because when I look at my family, okay, on Oak Island, the Sansons, the McMillans, the Smiths, because Neil McMillan Smith was his granddaddy. And I said, I'm related to Donald Trump. Someone had somebody said, oh, well, we're all related. Okay. But how many, like, can go and say, sadly, I'm like, um, you know, I have to ask, it's that part, you know, you're looking, and Donald Trump, he says, they're on a witch hunt, they're on a witch hunt. Are you the fucking warlock, man? Seriously. Or, hey, is there a bunch of actors and it's actually showing you the real story of what's transpiring? And is Melania the representation of like six great granddaddy's illegitimate daughter? Because you know, don't look at illegitimate. You know, he's an actor. It's talking about, it's taking you back to the times of Rome. They're taking you back to the 1700s when you first came over. Because the Smiths and the McMillans that I talk about came from the States into Canada. Because, see, on my mom's side, both my nanny and grandpa were both Kazansas. And on my dad's side, both my grandparents were McMullen. And my seventh great grandmother was a bootlegger. My sixth great granddaddy's sister. And did the emerald thing actually it happened in Lumen, okay? And then you say that Blueberry Brothers, okay? Just leave that with me. So let's go to the Blueberry Brothers. Okay, so we'll go to Gene. We'll go to their father, who happened to die 2 months after he wrote his will, leaving his land to these three brothers. That was in 84, and then in 91 they became, because the property, and I think he like, he wanted to call him George, wanted the property. This man wanted the property. I have my great uncle with him. So let's go to, okay, so everybody's under the perception that there was the two brothers that passed. But if you look here, and you look down the side, you will see that there were three brothers that died in 1700. Now we'll go to, okay, they say it was John James. Where are you? Yes. Okay, so John and George, okay, with John James. We'll go to John James. You keep in mind that they were this man's godchildren. He was their godfather. So let's see. Okay, John James Ruler, the one in this book. He was born in Lunenburg, but on 1791, he died in North River. But they're saying that they were hung in Lunenburg up on a hill. So now let's go to George Frederick Ruler. Okay, so we'll read it. This is what it says. Where is it? Death. Hung along with his brother George Frederick in May 1791 for the murder of George Emmett and his wife Elizabeth and granddaughter Elizabeth. So it's Mary Elizabeth, and she was my sixth great granddaddy's illegitimate daughter. The burial records of St. John's Parish show burial records from 1791 of the remains was murdered March 20th, So it's saying that they would perish of Lunenburg. Okay, so they're saying, how did he, if he died in North River? If my cousin, John Payton, died in North River, why are they heading to Lunenburg? Why are the records in Lunenburg? Because I'll tell you right now, the profiting off of this. Now, let's go to George Frederick, 1791. Okay, George Frederick in Lunenburg born, and then deceased May 9th, 1791. But it says for him, Halifax County, and this is George Frederick. I know two spirits. Now, let's go to John Jacques, 1791. Because, see, John Jacques, I believe, was in love with the 15-year-old. Was in love with his cousin. Put that up. Okay, so he was born in North River. He was baptized in Lunenburg. He died in 1791, but it doesn't say where he died. And it said that he was buried around about August 9th, 1847. So he died in 1791, but wasn't buried until 1847. He was the one that didn't die. He was the one that they rehung. Okay, asshole! Quit puresti na mo to gastilay! Yasuro to brie! This is the spirit to spirit, and if you ain't got that yet, then you know, hey, you're looking at a fucking murder trial. You know, hey, what type of murder trial, what type of murder mystery are they having at the Oak Island Resort in October that they have every year? What is it about? I'd love to know. It's sold out this year, but it costs $600 and some dollars for fucking tickets to go for two people to stay there and do the murder mystery and everything like that. What's the fucking murder mystery? You see the CIA. Ever notice that whenever your government hires anybody or puts it in power, they always get a law degree or the doctors or the business owners or anything like that? Did you ever notice that? And hey, you better read your fucking criminal code because you're not even supposed to be in there any more than 5 years. Don't fucking believe me? Go get a criminal code. How do you think they keep fucking hiding this dirty secret? Because, hey, wait a minute, the judge of the town has those things on his hands. And who is the judge? Creighton. And, you know, hey, I even looked in here and certain family members, I have it there. I got it written down of the family members. John Anderson, Andy Anderson. Lived on Oak Island, same time as my great granddaddy, who's first cousins to the Bootlegger brothers. Hey, don't believe me with regards to it? Hey, granddaddy, bring here. Secret of the more thanks. You feel like it's a more you found the Roman coins, right? So he built my great granddaddy built a grist mill in Middle River, the sawmill. Where is it? Ah, here we go. Some of them had French Bibles and a few others books in that language from their sufferings, which they had endured for their religion after their annexation to France. Okay. They spoke a corrupt dialect of French with a German intonation. They had a strong antipathy to the French and Romanists, which was continued among their descendants to this day. And you won't even talk to me on Oak Island. Hey, just so you know, if you can get this message to Rick and Marty, the ones in the home the ones that are affiliated with them are the ones that keeping them finding the treasure and keeping it because they don't want to, because in order to do it, you've got to find out the fucking truth. And they don't want to know the truth because they've got the dirty hands. Okay, we're all failing. That's why every just one sec. That's why every time I try to make contact, they pull me off. Oh, you went at the treasure place, the treasure store. She said, "We have a lot of good." So hey, you know that. So why aren't you telling Rick and Morty? Oh wait, because hey, when Edward Cornwallis was doing his little fucking reign of terror, half the Indians and half the Acadians took the side of the British, and the other half took the side of the French. Right? And what else happened? Oh, right. Wasn't that the same year of the French-British War? The Paris Treaty. What actually caused that war? You say it was what? Or was it that you actually scalped their, was he the leader? He was the one. my seventh great granddaddy was the one who petitioned for them to get them all off the godforsaken island. And it was a couple of Acadians who actually killed my seventh great granddaddy and his first wife, two of their kids. Right? You know, every time I go up around there, my great granddaddy gets pissed off. Both of them. Because my great granddaddy, he was. So let's go read. We'll get back to this. Right? So we're going to go read. Okay, so the one that was hung that didn't die, but they was hung, and then they didn't put his death records out there until he wasn't buried until 1847, French Village, and it has there May 9th, 1791, death, hung for murder. So here, okay. So if you look here, one sec, please. That one of my family members had the family, okay? But nobody would lend it to me, so I had to go fishing myself. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So Alex McNeil. Okay, so Anderson. Okay. So Anderson lived on lot 26, and Weber was on lot 11. Right? Weber was lot 11. Weber was right here. Anderson was up here, and my great granddaddy was here. So great granddaddy was like the property, the corner wise. Okay, but there's another one here because on the other property he had my granddaddy had where's that thing? He had lot 28. Oh no, hold on. Sorry. He had lot 29, 31, 32, 24. Okay, so Anderson was 26. My granddaddy had a lot 24. Webb was 11. And granddaddy had a lot 31 and 32. Okay, so Anderson is on there. Heckman. Heckman. Oh, asshole! Heckman was the family to the Judge Creighton. He was the judge who sentenced them to death. Peter Ambrig, uh, he was Peter Hackman. He was the Boulevard. He was in the Boulevard brothers' father's will. What did I say he was? I even have Anthony Bondfield here. Okay. Yep, right here. 1784, will of their father, dated March of 1784, probated on 2 months after March. Yep, 2 months afterwards. The executor, he loved wife. His wife was an executor. Peter Annenberg or Ehrenberg was a witness in my great granddaddy's will. So that was a land right there. That's him right there. And the three of them were killed. He gives his eldest son, Frederick, 30 acre. His second son, George, 30 acre. His son, John, 30 acre. His sons, John and James, 30 acre. Likewise, to said James, 35. Oh, here you go. You sure? 1784 will of John, go there. dated March 1784, probated May 1784. Executors with White Catherine, witness Peter Nuremberg and Nicholas Luther, presented for probate by George Junior Green with Peter Nuremberg and Nicholas Luther. I give to my eldest son, Frederick, 30-acre lot in northwest range, letter A, and one town lot in Strasburg, division letter, and also 35 acres of his 300-acre lot, letter in second division. Second son George, 30-acre lot, northwest range, and a 35-acre of the above 300-acre lot, and further 35 acres of my 300-acre lot in the first division. I give to my son John Frederick one 30-acre lot in northwest range, letter A dash, a 35 acre of the above said 300-acre lot, second division. I give to my son John, or James and David together, the 30-acre lot, letter A, in northwest range. Likewise to said James, 35 acres of the 300 acres, second division, and David, 35 acres of the 300-acre lot, first division. I give to John, Jacques, and George Frederick, two of the ones that were killed. They were murdered because they didn't kill them. Together, the 30-acre lot in northwest range, and to each of them the said 35 acre from the said 300 acre, second division. I give to Joseph and John Peter the 30-acre lot, 29 and 30 in northwest range, letter A, and also the 30-acre lot with a house or building thereon in northwest range. And I give them the said Joseph and John Peter the oxen, cart, plow, and other tools belonging to a piece of dairy, with the iron stove and all the other cattle, on condition that both the said Joseph and Peter shall give one cow to each of my three daughters, Catherine, Susanna, and Margaret, as soon as their mother shall die or before her death, if conveyed. And I will let my youngest daughter, Margaret, shall live in my house until she marries, and in the meantime I plant with her own use on some part of my land, and shall be provided with a bed in one of the almost in the wood. Some families have no respect for them. And for this said Joseph and Peter, and likewise to divide between them the remainder of the 300 acres in the first division, and to my three daughters, Elizabeth, Agnes, and Susanna, I give the remainder of the 300 acres in the second division to be divided by them. Likewise, I give to the said Joseph and John my part of land in Margaret Bay, and John Jacques, George Frederick, and David, and my youngest daughter, Margaret, shall have part with John Even Chipping in another tract of land of said Margaret Bay, and my daughter Susan shall have 60 acres. of. 'Land. 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 ' Somehow we ended up moving from there, and then we got sent up to Sheet Harbor area. You know, the crazy thing, they ended up in Tadwich too because I go to a museum and I know that's where something else was down because when I went in, two parts to it. There was a museum, and then there was another part that was an art museum, and they had an auditorium. And I went into the auditorium. I actually went into the museum, and I had been in a vision where I went down like it was. I don't know if I was going down steps or if I was going down a ramp, but I come and it was them, and it was looking, and there was this man who had this funky, like he had a mask on his face. He was like he was keeping blood to get somebody to carry his and I was watching this, and he had like a meat, butcher's wear, those leather things on, and I happened to look over, and I just in that vision, a familiar face. I know I see their face because I see spirit. So I was seeing something that I wasn't supposed to see. Right, you know? He probated my great granddaddy's will, my sixth great granddaddy's will, and then he sentenced his cousins to death. And then there was Alexander McNeil, who owned property on the land. Same time, same year, the Bouvier brothers were hung in 1791, as I studied right up here, right there. John Hurst, the son of Catherine Barbara Bouvier and great nephew, Bouvier brothers, son of Johanna Benjamin Hertz, and grandson to Jean George Bouvier. So he was the cousin. And I'm still finding things. And then when you go back, I'm sorry, Catherine, I'm gonna go because see the guy who wrote this book, he connected himself, he said, to the Butler brothers and you know, whatever, Vermont, or I mean, Yes, इसी को बताते हैं आप उसको तो प्रयत्न करती हुए my seventh great granddaddy and his wife's brother came over at the same time on the same ship, and the Delphines came over at the same time too. Which, like I said, the Delphine daughter is said in this thing here, this man's granddaughter, but it wasn't. And then right here, see that? See those two names there? That's the father and son. Him and his father. Now, Creighton, he came over in 1749. He came over with Edward Cornwallis's crew because that's when they came over. They came over first. And I have the paperwork where, our family went out. We were trying to we were running for our lives. Who else did they say? Because we were from France. So at the time, they didn't really put women on there. So Jacques, John, he was the one that wasn't supposed to be killed, but got killed. They don't mention him in here, though. And then Jean Nicholas, right? Because I got the brothers somewhere else. So I have it all over here. But see, the thing is, when you go into Lunenburg, okay, and you see that Gothic church, my seventh grade granddaddy, when he first came over, they started how they were the ones helping to build that church. It said that my seventh grade granddaddy was supposed to be buried at the cemetery just off the hill where I call it the castle. Used to be a school. And if you look at that school and watch the movie Matilda, it looks an awful lot like that school and it was an academy. But I went out there one day and I was looking all around for my seventh grade granddaddy's headstone. And it's something interesting. When I went on the tour of Oak Island, the guy, Danny Henniger, he was telling us, when he was standing by a vessel supposed to be dealing with Genesis Foundation, he was telling us that the series, the show, tells everybody, leads everybody to believe that Samuel Ball found a big treasure. But he said that Samuel Ball did nothing to show us that Samuel Ball ever found a big treasure. Yeah, and James Bond married Mary Millet, who was actually married to George Anson first. There we go. Get over here, Grumpy. Grumpy. Okay, I'm going to show you something. Okay? These are the wills of Anthony Vaughn Sr., the man that was in my great granddaddy's will, who was he was the executor and the witness. So this is the one that was 44, and this was Anthony Vaughn Jr., the son's will, who will engage. You see the personal and stuff in there. No longer known. Okay. So James McGinnis, that was Donald McGinnis's son, was it not? So that was his will. This was my great uncle's will, my nanny's brother's will, my seventh grade granny's brother's will, the Boudreaux brothers. This was Samuel Baldwin right here, this little half piece here. Hey, I got Johanna Barkos's will too. And here's my great granddaddy. And if you can see, let's see, who was on the will? It was John Creighton who probated it in 1804. So it says here, this I got this off of the Lunenburg website. The executors was Anthony Vaughan and Peter Corcoran. Witness Anthony Vaughan. John Prospect. John Prospect actually owned property just up the, like on Oak Island too. And Joseph Dimmock, who was actually the priest or the reverend or something like that. So do you understand why my grandfather came to church? Yeah, I get it. Story of Jesus. Jesus worked for the church. Father, why have you forsaken me? And I did your good works. So we could, so like I said, in Hebrews yesterday, he said that Mary Magdalene and Jesus were mother and son, and Mary Magdalene has to spell so that she looked like her son and her son. That's why he said. And he said that to Peter. He said, I will turn her and I to her and woman on. She took the place of Jesus. Here's your church for you. They teach you to know each other. And it's all because of what happened. That you don't get that way. Of course not. Forbidden love. And to keep the two families apart. It's like, people are saying about after the Shakespeare, Leonardo Berlin, and the other fellow, Will Brown, or well, the people. If you watch Vampire Diaries, when Bonnie she goes and she's in this world, and then all of a sudden she has to travel to Nova Scotia to get the cure for vampires. So si kutukursi motion annesito popotekia arenkusi. If you look at it all, it's the original story, what you perceive to be God, and there were five children, and raped and murdered. And I experienced that back in 2020, what it was going on, how that was happening, because there was twins. I said twin boys, and then a blue Bryson, that must have been blue gray, and then there were the other two, which one was the giant, and then Mongolian, and it was two of where they raped her. One was the twin. Oh, asshole! What, what the fuck? And one of them watched it happen. Great Grammys, seven great children on the half brother's side. That's where it came. So it's so in that instance, it would have been periods up against the Byzantines because my great granddaddy, he had siblings with his father's first wife, and she was the one that died because that was the world. And that's really fucked up. So great that they make a diamond because I actually went through an experience where it was like I was reliving my great grandma's birth, and I apologize to the woman that like ended up going like we were both traumatized that day. I do apologize for that because that was really fucked up. But that was the just that was her gravity because it was like 16 and no, it was 16. It was no, que está en el que va a todo y do that. That was the dirty little secret of the family. She wasn't the child of the father, but they thought it was. Or they knew and then were trying together and realized that Sue was trying to get her inheritance. Wouldn't have been the Bootler brothers because her mother was married to Emily's father, her son. Yeah, he writes his conclusion. How about you listen to my conclusion? Because you know this was all based on the Bootler brothers' trial was all based on circumstantial evidence. Okay, I think maybe something showing me through pictures that I have of the circumstantial evidence of the murder of my sixth great granddad and also my seventh great granddad. Circumstantial evidence, right? There it is. His son, June George, married Maria Elizabeth Philippine. But see, the thing is, you cannot touch something that don't exist in time. mean? Okay. I guess it's like outside of it's something outside of the matrix is beyond their reach because the truth is beyond their reach. So you go and the Vatican and if you think that my son in the sixth grade granddaddy had a religious seal and you wouldn't have known about the Vatican, who does he know about the Vatican? See, I'm sure that the real life. You see that? He might have been one freaking pecker out of an asshole bastard and a little and somewhat conceited, but he went through fucking hell. He literally went through fucking hell. They left him for dead, but he didn't die. You say you say how many people did you leave for death and not realize who they were? Sixth grade granddaddy was their friend. And I believe my seventh grade granddaddy was too, because there were a line of Freemasons who might have skipped him and onto his fault. Which, or someone called Christopher. Yeah, I got that's what he Didn't you say the first? Like you had some people say Christopher. You say the first received Santa Claus. You say that's good, and look, I'm fucking away. I'm with myself. That's what I do. See, this is the stuff that people are like look at me because of what I go through as it being the demonic thing of what the church teaches. But it's not a demonic. It feels demonic and it feels pretty fucked up and a little fucking scary at times. Except for, you say, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But you know what? I'm getting to the point where I want you to see what I see, the way I see it. Well, not the way I see it. I want you to see it from you, your your ancestors, which you went through. Like, use it as looking at your like viewing it as it being a resemblance to your family, right? See how and it's weird. It's like, yeah, so we'll get that. It's like a getting the man always going at Like it was like every son was always following at the woman and calling her a whore and everything because he wants to know about and he wanted revenge. And sure that he knew about it. Was that what went on at Andy Anderson's and the others? Did he find out that night and fight? And he went together. And the crowd is still like racing where because I looked and there was a woman. It was really strange because she's affiliated with our family. And strangely, the same year, was the said murder because it was right around the same time of the murder of the Bluebear brothers, or the murder that was said to be the Bluebear brothers committed. This woman, she died. It was like she was married to two different men, I think it was. Told them, I said to them, I interview about before, I told them that there's a lot of, like, a lot of dead bodies, like, killable women. It's like, yeah, but I mean, like, not just from them bringing, like, fighting about the gold, but I mean the story that they took because it all, you gotta put it together. It's all one big story, no solution. It's one big fucking story. And I had ancestors all through it, from one end to the other and in the middle. It's like here, 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 here. So, because on my dad's side, well, they came from Europe, but they shipwrecked and they were put up in shelter areas, or yeah, shelter apartments. And then on my mom's side, they came in Halifax, and then they went as my seventh great granddaddy. He was the first one to get property in Northridge. I think it was something like that. The 30s, right here. Jean George Bizanson was also known as Jean George Bizant. There's actually a castle up in France with her last name. He was born right around 1708 at Edmonton, Montbelair. Bellard, Mary. I don't know if it's pronounced Jenny or Jeannie. Born son of a bitch. 1733. You want to hear something strange? My great grandmother died in 1933. Jean George Byzantin and Junior Jenny immigrated on May 1652, St. George's Island, aboard the speedboat. It's there. Like I said, on the passengers list, he is described as 44 from, like I said, Montebello, and a farmer. I'm going to write that one right now. Jean Byzantin became a widower with Jenny. She died either as the Speedwell near Halifax Harbor or soon thereafter on St. George's Island. She was buried in Halifax. Jean George Byzantin was on the full list in Halifax. Okay? So we'll go. He moved to lot 36 in 53. He was listed as owner of Northwest Range Lot A36. Christopher Young's coffee registry of 30-acre lot in 1760. He married Catherine in 53. Asshole! Kind of figured that. I'm asking noise. I know to put it there. To support. Sabe se trabalha para mim, mas por isso a não sua isso que é tudo. I channel spirit to spirit. Some people can't handle it and they think I'm just on crazy. But hey, you know. Yeah, no such thing as coincidence, just synchronicities, and they're fucking piling up right now. Ganito to is, you know, see, they had me died in 55, but it wasn't 55. It was when the Paris Treaty, the France-British War broke out. Also, sources say that King George died in 1756 at Lunenburg. On July 10th, so in there, of 1988, okay, Pierre Jouret in a port, France, near the city of Montbéliard, unveiled a memorial dedicated to the 431 foreign Christians from the Principality of Montbéliard who landed in Nova Scotia between 1749 and 1752. Many of these Montbéliardians were among the founding settlers of Lunenburg on June 8, 53. Jean George and his family are considered founders funeral, and the family name appears on the monument. He and his line were being researched by Dorothy Sanson as of 1990. And the famous name was Dorothy. Jean George died in 1956. His daughter, Susan Bradford, was born after his death. His widow name remarried Edgehead Marriott, Etienne Marriott, a widower with sons, on January 1st, 1956, and subsequently had several children by her second husband, and five, three. No, he had three by his first wife, and she had like five. And then a Melvin married his answer. So that's why the Melvins, and then there's the brother fighting like Melvin and Sarah in the story of his innocence. You know, he had two sides. But maybe some of you were in there with Marriott. You know how shit. What's today? ¿Cómo se te quieto? ¿Cómo se te quieto? Okay. Jean George was among foreign settlers who were recruited in Europe to populate the province of Nova Scotia. Okay, sorry, to populate the province of Nova Scotia in the 1750s. His first wife died on the train, sailed the ship to Speedwell near Halifax Harbor immediately following the dock. For almost a year, the settlers were held on George's Island before being settled in England. Jean George wrote a lengthy petition to the governor begging him to get us off this godforsaken island. Jean George was first granted land in what is now the town of Louisville, but traded with this land and went further down the east coast where he died in 1756. There is unproven history which says that he was scalped by Native Americans in his own dooryard with whom his wife and held a baby in his arms. That baby was my great granddaddy, and as far as being an Indian, it was I wanted to be on the Indian patrol. And a year afterwards, he got on because him and Samuel Ball both worked for Columbus. And so did Tony. So like I said, so, how do I do what I do? I guess I always have to see, what- So I am not sure if my great granddaddy, great granddaddy, and his sister was a stray. We haven't really talked. Eventually, I may look one way, but okay. Could yourself tell your story and then go watch it because it will make sense afterwards as you talk through it. Because as long as you're not talking through things, you're not seeing everything. You start seeing it and then you start like, okay. So if you've been ever wondering about something and feeling a certain way, then I would say, like, you know, that's that part that your spirit trying to tell you something, say, hey, okay, you know, maybe you should, okay, you're feeling one way, it's time to go in. So I wouldn't say my Sunday school. That's school is for education. Well, I did say it's religious. It was a role. It's all about see, our ancestors were the ones that they were trying to silence. Our ancestors were the ones that they were putting into residential schools before residential schools were actually known. It was, it was hidden, and then they had to bring it forward because there were so many of them. You had the ones that, like, the old people. It's like what you have right now in your system that you're seeing, like one or the other side. They tell you you have to pick one or the other. Well, hey, neither one of you are doing very well right at the moment. It's you're coming here. It's because you won't hear the other side. So if there's two involved, there's two sides. If there's three involved, there's three sides. It's hearing each person's side and then bringing in the pieces to actually see what it is that you're observing. Because like some people thought it should be what you're looking, but it's what you're observing. What like you're observing. You don't just read it. You don't just stare at it. You observe the whole piece of it. It's like trying to like once you're able to do that, you can say, okay, it's like putting in ingredients. But sometimes, you take that extra just to see, and then it leads you into doing something different. For some reason, I guess I had to describe that into cooking of it. But okay, we have like that's the part of the spirit. That's the way that spirit knows how to explain something, in knowing that others will understand what it's conveying. You see, this is the stuff that my ancestors, our ancestors, would teach. They didn't always come up so conventional. to know a narcissist. And it's like, sometimes it feels like you lose yourself, but you're not. It's not that you're not losing yourself. You're losing those restricting stigmas. It's not how somebody else sees you. As you are used to what you do. And I know people that was almost like a conceited way of looking at it, or thinking that I'm better than others, but that's not enough. Going to go into a real is the revelation to realize the truth, because that's the part where you go through hell because it's like you end up paying for everything and everyone. It's just you just want everything to just stay away. And I was like, ah, and it's when you're around people and you understand that you like and you know what you're experiencing, you realize that you're, you're you're experiencing your feelings. So that's why when you're going through it, it's like people are chewing each other's heads off and fighting over other things because they're not able to focus on the bigger picture. So you can only see your life, right? And what like what's up here. But you have to see what's in here in order to find out what caused the thing you're thinking. And I think there was another like an accident in Indian Falls up in Chester. I got two different like things okay here. And when I was there, I seen up on the cliff like some kids up there, younger teenager girls, like a girl and some boys, and there was more of an adult male there. And what ended up happening was they were worse like they were like kind of teasing the girl but bullying her all just like, bullying her or just joking or I don't like but the girl went off the cliff. But I didn't see the man yet. But there was an adult male over there. And that was all that I seen at that point. I don't know why. I don't know. We have a group of about 5 boys with them. Fucker! Oh, and later I went, and I had said about having that vision, and I told the other one, and she said that, yeah, no, I just thought that it was not 50 cents for in those years. That something had happened, and then I went to a museum that I'm there. Something so good right now. It's, I'm sure I need to put this so much more. Yeah, it was like, are we watching something where the person just sits so stupid? You know, most crimes are not intentional. I mean, like, set with, like, it I'm not saying that it's not. Most of them are happening because of a lot of misunderstanding because others relay a message or twist it, and that's where you get conflict. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, this is where I'm talking about my ancestors, and I said, like, on my mom's side, my second great grandfather and before him, they were rebels. And right now you have the Jewish folk, and that's where it's like spirit sick because there's so much anger and hate because that part would be if you look, the Jewish community were the ones that will say that Mary Magdalene or not Mary Magdalene, but Mother Mary was raped by Satan. And there it's finding out because one was wealthy and one was not. I'm just sitting with something right now because it's it's like that part of the forbidden love. But what was there? Because in our laws today, if someone is over a certain age, then it was statutory rape. What they call statutory rape. Mm. I'll use my, when I got pregnant for my oldest son at 14 and a half, the guy had just turned 18, and they were considering it that statutory rape. And I told them that if they charged you with rape, then I would, so they just so I said, I would like this to be. But that's what we call, I mean, like, but I was in Libra, and it's that part. Why would they? Okay, I'm trying to sort through this because I'm visualizing that in that story, not mine, but to theirs, to find out what happened, right? Because they say she was raped by the soldier. So then Mary Magdalene, or Mother Mary, Mother Mary was Jewish. Okay, and raped by a soldier. I said the soldier is Peter's father, but I believe that Yeshua said it because Yeshua and friends. So how? Okay, how old was the soldier? I said I didn't want to do it in the person in the military. And it I'm feeling that because of what it represents. Store it away. So things are like, you know, so back to the good strength for what they really need. So you could have a nice person in the military, and then they can go to war if they get that, and if it can't be, then they cost you. Well, this is a deep channel. You never know where it's going to take it. It's not part of spirit's telling its story. There's stuff that you can see. I went to Washington news and to watching the stuff that's going on with the crown. Many people have said it's a documentary of someone's, well, I mean, say that it is, but I mean, it's a documentary on TV, you're watching someone else's life, and you're the actors. So, you know, look like a raging lunatic at times. I really know how I look. And that's why I laugh sometimes, because it's like, holy shit, man, I'm like, fuck, fuck now. Damn, I don't know. Can't be funny, right? It's like, you know, if they laugh once in a while, I might feel better. So, hey, I'm not going to use names. I'm going to say what my experience was like. And $100 a ticket. Bought 2 tickets. And the idea of my body started kind of, oh, this, right? Because what had and one of the event people come up and was standing there, and I was telling her what I was experiencing, what was happening, and then she goes, "Oh, here, sit down." Oh, my body is like, and I'm trying to tell her, like, so I went and sat down to say, okay. So she's there, then she started telling me what the kids would be and I was behind people where kids couldn't see me, but she brought me right out where everybody could see me. And then she was standing there with her hands on my shoulders and asking, like I was telling her about what she was witnessing. And oh, would you like me to talk to the spirits? The spirits aren't going to hurt you. It's like, yeah, I know the spirits aren't going to hurt me, but they really want to hurt you guys because you're destroying their land and trying to steal from them. And their story's not being told. You don't get what you're searching for until the story is told and told right. That's, they swear on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Why do you swear on that Bible if you're not going to see the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And in order to get the truth, you have to come from all sides of it. The common denominator. But if you have others that don't want it coming in and they keep trying to block every direction, my question is, what are you hiding? So I said, people go on to other people's stuff, but you won't have control of them. Your documentary. Simply, documentary is like, oh, you do your biography, but the biography is turned into documentary, so it shows what you go through your life, your story, journey. That part about yourself, everybody else is doing. People have, but I don't want to. It's not writing a book because you can't write something that's already your story because it's not just your story, it's others' story and their story being told. That's true. That's the book. That is simple living. I don't know. Of course. Well, ask me if I felt this to be a good push. I don't know. I find it therapeutic. Really mindful and true. That's not true. It's very so. Well, that is weird. Usually I put them on my head and wake up. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at that. This is just, you know, you do what you need. But I'm not telling you how to see it or not to see it. Just see it. That being said, I've seen how much light many blessings used to give you. Very good health. And you will feel what's in your life. Watch out for faith, for faith, be yourself, be your authentic self. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be your emotional, and realize that you're going to find the answers because you have a much better you have the truth. You use discernment, like with anything, and cross reference. See, blind faith is moving forward without knowing whether there is a God. That's fun. Not it's not the faith of just believing that it's there. It's perceiving. It's a little more